Hey guys, it's Nathan from the Kentucky Cycling YouTube channel. We're in Radcliffe, Kentucky this morning at Saunders Springs Nature Preserve, and we're doing something a little different. I'm here with head trail gnome Vince Carman. He's the president of the Lincoln Trails Kimba and the Kentucky Mountain Bike Association. So Vince, he's actually going to give us a guided tour, which is a little bit different. So this is going to be a ride video, but we're actually here with a subject matter expert on Saunders Springs. Can you just tell us a little bit about when the trail started being developed and just kind of an overview of the Saunders Springs experience for a mountain biker here?
So Fort Knox developed a lease for the 73 acres behind us to go in conjunction with the 26 acres we already had in the preserve to be developed for kind of adventure trails. And we started that. We started building out in late 2011, early 2012.
Very good. And so how many miles of trail do you have currently developed and here in the park?
Here in the park total, it's close to 14 miles.
Awesome.
We had almost 4 miles on this side. So we've got a little over 10 miles developed in the what we call the annex side, which is where the trails predominantly have kind of a mountain bike flavor. We developed most of it to be hike and bike, multi-use, but we've been able to add expert features and expert areas for mountain bikers.
So tell us about different sections you're going to take us on today.
Okay, we're going to go on the Bambi Trail, which is our 1 mile beginner loop. It's still under construction, but it'll be finished up probably early next year. Totally rideable now, but it won't have the flow and kind of the pop that we want until next year. We'll ride on the Perimeter Trail, which is a 6.25 mile expert trail. We'll see features like elevator and Woodhenge that our members have built around the trail. And we'll also at least take a gander at, if not take a sampling of Wild Goose and Star Cluster area, which includes Misery, Sabo, and Hellfire trails, which are all expert black done.
All right, well, we're looking forward to it. Hopefully have a great ride.
So we're on the Bambi Trail. Y'all may have noticed when you're riding through, you see little trails to the sides. This trail in front of us is a maintenance trail, but there was another trail that had carried on over to this side. What we've done is we've taken an early version of the park that had a lot of, like a spider web of trails, and we've restructured that so that we had continuous loops to help keep people from getting confused. And then it also allows for a better experience because you can ride the beginner trail, you can ride the intermediate trail, you can ride expert trails, or you can pick and choose. It's a la carte. All right, we just came off the Bambi Trail, which is named for Mr. Adrian Bambini, the previous chairman of the Radcliffe Forestry and Conservation Board that I came on after. And that's in thanks for his thousands and thousands of hours of dedicated trail and nature preserve support. double bumps here, like it's got 2 ruts here, and behind us where it's got a couple of different ruts. Those are all tank tracks from when this portion of property used to be tank training grounds for Fort Knox, probably in the 20s, 30s, 40s, after the installation was established. This is kind of what we're calling our Stickman feature. It's a name we're kicking around back at the office. You can turn this section of the trail into a figure 8, but you got to do it slow enough you can see other people so it's safe. But coming up the perimeter trail, you would choose the rock garden, the skinnies, and then another rock garden to get back on the trail. Or if you were coming from the other direction, you would do log over, skinny, turn on the pedestal, head through the tree notch, over the log pile, and back onto the perimeter trail. And when you come back out the other way, it's rinse and repeat. Ride rock garden, through Stickman, and back out the rock garden.
Well, let's see it in action.
All right, we're in the Star Cluster area. We're at the top of Misery, half-mile challenging climb with little rock gardens that we built in the turns and a lot of little things to throw off your game. Come across the top of Star Cluster, we have Sabo, which is the first expert trail. Sabo has drops up to 18 inches, and at the bottom it's going to have a roller line, kind of a, I hesitate to call it a jump line because it's kind of contained and not very, doesn't have much on it as lip goes. Sabo is in recognition of one of our co-founders of the club, that he was an armor officer, so Sabo is a tank round. Hellfire is in honor of another of our trail builders, and that gentleman was an Apache pilot. And Hellfire is more squiggly with berm turns, skinny bridges, and at the bottom it has our Hellevator feature, which is 270 feet long, wood berms, wood rollers. It's a pretty sweet little challenge feature. Welcome to Elevator. This whole feature, 270 feet worth, is thanks to Mr. Bambini, donations in the memory of Barbara Bambini, U.S. Army's 15th Engineers of Fort Knox, and Kimba Lincoln Trails volunteers. 15th Engineers built these flat sections here in this turn on the inside. Mr. Bambini helped provide the lumber to put this together, and Kimba volunteers like the Wests and Taylor and Jay and Shannon and so many other folks came out and dedicated some time to this. Plus there's also a Cub Scout pack that came out and put in the mulch that's alongside the first half of the feature so that you have a little more confidence. The trick to riding Elevator is keep a jogging pace. It's gonna freak you out. Keep a jogging pace. Keep that front wheel high in all the turns, and the back wheel will track on the feature. Front wheel high on all the turns, jogging pace, you should make it just fine. This is the Wild Goose Expert Mountain Bike Area, named for a longtime volunteer that was at one time an inmate laborer that had helped build trails, continues to volunteer to this day. So we've got Wild Goose, it's our first expert section. It's got drops up to a foot, berm turns, and a climb we like to call agony. Welcome to the Woodhenge feature. Came from the mind of a good friend and Kimba board member, Dave West. It's about 200 feet of elevated figure 8 skinny that has 2 entrances, so you can try to ride it both ways. We call it Woodhenge. Springs unique is the karst topography. We have a cave system underneath us that the water drains into, and it runs out through a cave in the lower part of the park and forms the creek. But what we've got is we've got a double sinkhole, one here and one here. We designed and built this section during an IMBA trail care crew visit. One of the young gentlemen that was on the trip is the national champion on the 11 to 15 for cyclocross and silver medalist for road and mountain bike in the country. And he's based out of Louisville. So young Mr. Fraser's, he comes out and he gives back just like he gives heart when he goes out and races. Here we've got our mountain bike skills area that we have at Saunders Springs. It's designed with intermediate features and expert features paired so that you can take your skills and elevate those skills as you work your way through. We have a single log, we have a log pile. We've got complicated rocks, we've got a more simple rock on a climb. We've got drops, both double box and single log. We have a short skinny and a long skinny that we use out here when we're working on skills. We even have a tot track, which is a small, tiny pump track for kids on Strider bikes. And then we've got a bigger pump track in the middle. And this is through the efforts, again, of Kimba, the forestry board, and 2 Eagle Scouts. 3 Eagle Scouts, actually, because this one did the sign. And a church group helped build our classroom area where we've got benches. So it's actually the perfect little place to come and learn some mountain bike skills.
As always, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks!